and welcome to the status report and also to the financial report of CO-LaN. Actually, according to the French law, this is something we have to hold every year, and we like doing that, of course. But this activity report and also this financial report needs to be approved by the board. So at the end of each of these presentations, we will have got some votes on the report. Last year, actually, the report goes over the last 12 months. So it stretches from October last year, where we had the previous AGM, until now. It was actually a very successful year, I think, for CO-LaN, the last 12 months. So can I? Yeah. So this is something I try to show you in the next half an hour. The presentation is actually split up in 4 themes. We will first give an overview over CO-LaN and the membership, and also the contracts we are holding for the software developments, but also for running the organization. Next, we will go to show you the usage and awareness and how we disseminate actually the CAPE-OPEN standards. And the third part will be about the heart of the organization, the special interest groups, where we have got very brief reports for each of the 4 interest groups, what they have been doing over the last year. And then I would like to address some of our strategic activities to give you a feeling where we are heading for. The membership, last year we decided actually to introduce a new funding model. And that has been introduced. So by September this year, we had still 6 full members, over 64 cooperated associated members and 24 individual associated members. So in total, almost 100 members. These are 14 less than the year before. 12 of our corporate associated members left the organization, or we are still discussing with them whether they would like to renew their membership. Also, one of the reasons was that they're using too little CAPE-OPEN in order to justify the funding model. 2 other companies we couldn't get hold of, so we believe they ceased to exist. So in total, we still kept actually overall the number of members which we had the year before. So I think this is a very good result despite the new introduced funding model. We have got also 3 new members. Politecnico di Milano, we heard a very nice presentation yesterday, and also we just heard the presentation of David from the University of Oslo. There will be another presentation from Frank Eckert about 3DS and CAPE-OPEN, and actually 3DS, and there we are very happy, joined as a Group A member, CO-LaN this year. Speaking about the funding model, the scheme had been laid out actually last year and is also now implemented in the bylaws, and therefore will not be changed until CO-LaN needs to consider to be renewed in 2025. The full members pay 10,000 euros annual fee. The associated members are split up in 2 categories. Group A members with larger companies with more than 20 employees pay 2,000 euros a year, and Group B pay 100 euros a year. The remaining members, so all the members who do not provide commercial CAPE software, can be members free of charge. As mentioned, this was, I believe, a big success because it gives us much more financial possibilities, in particular since we have 12 cooperated associated members and 8 Group B members. So in total, we have got more than 20,000 euros additional funds. So that's almost a third more budget than we had in the years before. So this gives us really some room to act on our strategic projects which we initiated over the last couple of years. Coming to the management board, so the management board consists only of full members. There was no push to change that, even so we introduced actually the new funding scheme. The responsibility of the management board is in first instance to control actually the organization, so make financial decisions but also strategic decisions, and also approve the release of the standards. There are at the moment 6 companies as full members in SEOLA: Linde, Dow, BASF, BP, Air Liquide and Shell, who form the board. We have got Philippe as a treasurer, Kat as a secretary, and I'm the chair of the organization. We have got monthly calls of 1.5 hours, plus usually twice a year some additional meetings over half a day. These last year and the year before, they were all virtual meetings, but there we discuss some more specific topics. For the daily operations, we have got 4 contractors. So Michel Pons, everybody knows Michel because he is running CO-LaN from the day-to-day business. So he's doing the invoices, he is doing the bookkeeping, taking care of the membership. Much more important, does all the communication, maintains the website, and last but not least, he is actually also very active in the SIX and prepares the standards for dissemination. So he is extremely valuable for SEOLA. We have got Breen, who does the secretarial support, and also Malcolm, who is project lead for the certification and test suite. Till May 2021, we had also Michael Holleran as a contractor. He took care of Cold and the type libraries. Michael has been associated with SEOLA for over 20 years, and he participated to a lot of projects within SEOLA, not only Cold and not only maintaining the type libraries, but he brought in also a lot of ideas. Here to the right you see actually him in 2002 when he got the CAPE-OPEN Award for the work on the Termo 1.1 interface specifications and also on the work for cross-company development of CAPE-OPEN interfaces. You see him with Peter Banks, Richard Schapansky, and Daniel Pinol. So he is the second from right in the middle of the picture. So thanks again, Michael, for all the good work. We are very grateful, and Michael remains actually as an individual associated member, and he is even further willing to share his advice with all his experience and on software development and CAPE-OPEN. We are extremely grateful for that one. So we wish him all a very nice retirement. Now the work which Michael did so far has been largely taken over by Loic and by Marcus. So these are our new contractors since last year. They do an excellent job. So they provide the software services and also develop the test suite. And of course we also have got Jasper, who supports us and who is the brain behind Cobra and did the maintenance and the development. What you see here to the right is the pie chart of where we spend our budget, that you get a little bit of feeling how the work is distributed over the individual tasks in the organization. So we have got administration and board support, which is done by Breen and by Michel largely. We have got more or less also the connect to the community by the SIG and the community management done by Michel. And as you can see, the software projects, Cobra certification and the software tools take up these days around a little bit less than 50%. So our emphasis is still very much on the community and also on the development, further development of the standards. Let's move to the next topic in this small overview over last year. That would be the usage and awareness. Again, there were a couple of articles published. We picked out 3 of them, 2 of the University Berlin from the group of Eric Esche, who did develop the Mosaic and also received the CAPE-OPEN Award a couple of years back. And we have got here, for instance, as an example from the TU Delft, the usage of CAPE-OPEN in order to solve vapor liquid flashes with neural nets. Michel collected actually quite a list of text papers on our website. If you're interested where and which areas of academia CAPE-OPEN is used, please go there, check it out. And more important, if you use CAPE-OPEN technology, mention this, and please also make us aware that we can keep the list up to date. The CO-LaN repositories can be accessed by the member login. There you find actually all the important documents. You can find the source code of Cobra, you can find the TLP installers, you can find the test suite. So all documents and all source code for managing software developments are on the repository. In the repository you also find actually documentation and for users, for instance, also examples for CAPE-OPEN implementations. So this is all free and very useful. Please check it out if you haven't done so yet. And of course you also find the working documents of the SIX and of the management board. Some of the documents you need to ask special access from Michel. Another important cornerstone for the dissemination of CAPE-OPEN is our website. Last year we renewed actually the SSL certificate. On the website you also can sign up for the CAPE-OPEN newsletter. Every month Michel summarizes the events in CAPE-OPEN and the latest developments and sends out actually a newsletter. So if you haven't subscribed yet, you can easily do that via the website. Furthermore, Michel keeps the website up to date. At the time we have got around 1,500 posts. You can describe to an RSS feed, and all important things are kept up to date on the website. I think a central communication forum is actually the forum where communication between users of CAPE-OPEN and developers takes place. So the target audience for the forum which we have is not only the developers, but it's also the end users, and there are also a couple of topics on this forum to discuss actually more general process simulations. The forum is active like the years before, so it's something very steady. We have got around 300 users. It was growing by around 40 more. We have got also a growth in the topics like the years before. And like the years before, we have got, if you back calculate it, almost 1 post per business day. So it's good to see that the forum is actively used, and we are extremely happy around that one. So let's move to the heart of SEOLA, to the special interest groups. And in the next slides, I would like to give you a small summary of our 4 special interest groups. So these groups are maintaining and developing the CAPE-OPEN standards. So we have got the interoperability group, which takes is led by Malcolm. We've got the method and tool SIG, which is led by Bill, and the thermodynamic SIG by Sergey and Jasper, as well as the UNISEC by Krishnamurti. We will have got this afternoon two very extensive interoperability SIG reports and method and tool SIG reports. So I will only touch on that one here in the next couple of slides, and you get much more detailed information from Malcolm and from Bill. The interop SIG, their activities in the last 12 months had been mainly related to the TLP installer and of course to the development of the test suite, which has been presented yesterday. I think this was a very big success for CO-LaN and also for the interop SIG, that we had been able to make a prototype. And I think here we have to also give a very big thank you to Loic and to Marcus, and of course also to Jasper, who also supported that work. But Loic and Marcus had been really doing the development. So this is great. With regard to the TLP installers, we had two releases. One release was including the flow sheet monitoring and the custom data interfaces. The other release actually improved the behavior, in particular with respect to the versioning. I think Malcolm will expand on that one during his presentation. The outlook for next year is to continue the good development on the test suite and also to work on the release of Cold. I think we are not that far away from the release, what I understood, and that will address actually the logging of energy information stream ports and flow sheet monitoring. Method and tool SIG was very active, did a lot of work, and thanks to Bill and everybody who is in the method and tool SIG, we also progressed here very well on the Cobra development. So on one hand side, we still needed to do a little bit of maintenance of Cobra phase 2. But then actually the important work was to do the scoping for phase 3. So that's mainly the marshalling, where we have got a presentation of Jasper coming up this afternoon. And then actually also launching phase 3. So, and supervising the work which has been performed by Jasper. For the CAPE-OPEN interface specifications, Cobra required actually to have a new CAPE-OPEN version 1.2 specifications, and that was mainly driven by the Cobra developments. Again, I believe Bill will expand on that one in his method and tool report. Then there was still some update done in the reporting interfaces to handle actually sizing issues, and there was support giving for the Cobra persistence transitioning. And of course, it must be here said that the interop SIG and method and tool SIG are very closely working together. The work for the upcoming year, I think clearly the phase 3 development needs to be overseen, and we are heavily relying there on the MNT SIG. So that our work needs to be completed, the work package 1 with the generic marshalling. And also the method and tool SIG needs to think about setting up the work package 2 for the language bindings. The releases, there will be releases coming up of Cobra, possibly maintenance releases, but in particular publishing actually the Cobra phase 3 work packages products. That's what we expect for next year. I think also the method and tool SIG has the intention to start more extensively the Cobra documentation, and particularly here some emphasis is put on the developer's guide. So to update the integration guidelines. And finally, even so, the TLP is there for Cobra version 1.2. The textile specifications need to be written and polished. Let's move to the Termosic. The Termosic had two main topics. So that was the custom data interface specification and the chemical reaction interface specification where they worked on. In July, they published the TL type libraries for that one. And for the custom data interface, and for the custom data interface, there is also the first reference implementation available in COCO. The logging will be implemented in the next release, so in cold version 2.5. So in total, if PMC developers are interested in the custom data interface, they've got the opportunities to test their implementations now. The chemical reaction interface specification, there we still need to publish or the textile specifications were published, but we still need to receive the requests for comments. So your feedback is expected by December 1st on the chemical reaction interface specification, and that document has been sent out a month ago. So please take this as a reminder and please take the time to look at it. The more comments we get, the more mature we can make the interface specifications. This is of course then also work which goes into the next year. So we hope to receive a lot of comments for the chemical reaction interface specification, and then based on these comments act, publish the IDL and disseminate the documents. For the manager common interface, there is the intention to write a draft proposal and then hand it over to the MNTSEC, because this is really an interface specification which also requires their review. So, and what all the six concerns, of course, one of the main tasks of a SIG is to maintain and manage the existing interface specifications. But there is another important support task which needs to be tackled by the Termosic, and you will see also later on by the UNISEC. This is really to define the test scenarios which we want to include into the test suite, which has been presented yesterday by Malcolm. So also here we expect quite some work. Quick reminder, Termo version 1.0 is deprecated, so it's not supported, and it will be also not part of the test suite. For the UNISEC has been working on the petroleum fractions, and that work could be continued after there was the ability in place to distribute extensions to standards. So that refers to the point I mentioned before in the Termosic. And also there the document has been sent out a couple of weeks ago for requests for comments. So we hope to get feedback by December 1st on this document. Based on that document, the UNISEC will of course also act and may make modifications to the specifications or move forward in the way it is. So that will be done in 2022, next year. Like I mentioned before, for the Termosic, the UNISEC also has got the task to provide test scenarios for the test suite. So this will be also an important point to look at in the upcoming UNISEC meetings, and also the maintain and managing of the existing interfaces. The UNISEC plans actually to resume its meetings in December this year. Let's move to the last point on the agenda. These are the strategic activities which we have in SEOLA. One, of course, always is and remains the distribution of CAPE-OPEN, so the CAPE-OPEN type libraries and primary interop assemblies. There we made a step forward by actually implemented an automated build process. And I think thanks to Michelle, we also put quite some effort in getting an internal guideline for maintenance. So that will be very valuable also for the future. So what does it mean? It means we have got now a solution for controlled rollout of the type libraries in place. So extensions like the petroleum fractions or the chemical reaction fractions can be rolled out in a consistent manner, and that also holds for new versions of CAPE-OPEN. The other strategic activity is the CAPE-OPEN middleware, Cobra. We will hear this afternoon much more about Cobra. But I think over the last 12 months we also had a lot of good work done and a lot of success. I think we had great achievements here in this area. In particular, we were able now to officially complete phase 2. We saw last year the presentations from HDI and KBC. They all have successfully implemented Cobra in their software. And there was no issue reported since the latest release in July and September. Cobra runtime and software development kit has been released on October 22nd. So this is the version 1.2.08. And actually until now, in the last couple of weeks, we already have 200 downloads. So this is good, a good sign that Cobra is picked up. So please contact the Michelle if you also would like to have a free download. Keep in mind the download is not restricted only to members. It's freely available, Cobra. Cobra phase 3 is on the way with the first work package out of 4, and that will be the marshaller, and I think we will have got a very nice presentation from Jasper this afternoon. Let's move to the other very important topic and strategic activity for CAPE-OPEN and for SEOLA. This is the certification. We heard a lot of that yesterday from Malcolm. Again, I mentioned it before, I think a big success that we're able to finish the tests we designed, but also essentially we're able to having a functional prototype, as we saw yesterday. There was also quite a lot of work done on the commercial aspects. We have got now a clear view. Test is free for SEOLA members and will be also free. The certification will be free for members at this point in time. I mean, I think there was more or less mentioned by Malcolm. We have to see how much effort and how much financial effort that also requires from SEOLA. But bit free for members. Let's review also some of the ideas which we had collected in the last AGM and the AGM before around CAPE-OPEN version 2.0. We have to think about the future. So in this case, we found CAPE-OPEN version 2.0 stands more or less for the future developments and of CO-LaN, where we should put emphasis on what projects and in which direction we should go. We are thinking at this point in 3 categories, more or less. The software engineering point, which was highlighted by Mark. How does CAPE-OPEN work with cloud computing, with multi-threading? How are the speed issues addressed? I think here we clearly have got a way forward with Cobra. We believe that Cobra is the way forward. And this little symbol here at right to Cobra indicates that we are actively working on that one. If there are concerns, additional ideas, please let us know. By the way, that holds also for the other points, because this is only a collection of ideas, not yet actually a prioritization or a roadmap. But I think also the specifications need to be thought over, and we also need to initiate there some developments. So for the unit operations, we need or should think about whether we need equation-oriented dynamic units, whether we need some interfaces specifically to black box modeling. For thermodynamics, we addressed some of the issues in the past, which goes to the future via the chemical reaction interfaces or the common manager. So there also work is in progress. And certainly, last but not least, is perhaps something more related to flowsheet monitoring and to flowsheets itself. We should think about whether there is a business need to have actually programmatically manipulating flowsheet by adding, removing units or streams. We saw in the last AGM there were one or two presentations which highlighted that, said that this might be something to pursue in the future. Similarly, we also should think about how about sensitivities, error propagation, or any kind of stochastical information which we want to propagate in the flowsheet. Would that make sense to have their interfaces in order to do so? So at the moment, this is only a collection of ideas. The 6 management board and all we have to think about what we really need and what good ideas are there. The other things is where we have to do some thinking is about digitalization. So we wrote it down here under the support for Industry 4.0. So there was an initiative in the past with regard to the process control, to operation training systems, that the communication between flow sheets and the process control domain should be actually standardized. Not sure how much there is at the moment, still a business drive for that one, but that might be important also for digital twins. Similarly, very important, which we think, and here I think David in the talk prior mine already pointed it out, we also should look at more synergies with other standardization organizations and other aspects of standards on ontologies. So we got actually in contact with DEXP, we got in contact with CIFOS, where they also look at data management for capital projects. So all of this, as I mentioned before, are at the moment ideas. We were not able to really develop a clear roadmap. So this is something still we need to do, and we need to prioritize. Let me move to the end of this presentation, and there I've got still 2 slides. One is a quick review of the milestones from last year's AGM. We had a couple of points which we really wanted to address during the last year. So our emphasis was on getting the funding model done. I think we did that very successfully. Certification was very successful, and actually also the implementation of Cobra. So this year we did a lot in these areas. With regard to CAPE-OPEN version 2.0 with the future, I do think that we still have to work on the roadmap. We were not able actually really to sketch a roadmap for the first future development of CAPE-OPEN version 2.0. And that is certainly something we have to address in the coming months. However, we were able actually to finalize and polish the versioning scheme. So this is also a small step in the direction to the future. Now the milestones for next year. We set out 4 major milestones. We want to push forward, and that's important to us, the certification and Cobra. So ideally we would like to get the first release of the test suite. We would like to see progress in the certification process and policy, and nominate also a certification officer. For Cobra, we would like to finalize the work package 1 with the generic marshaller, and then actually consolidate that work and make sure that it's robust, and start thinking about the language bindings. The other two items on this slide are also very important. As I mentioned before, the development of a roadmap. We didn't do that last year, we should do it next year. But we also have to think about a succession planning for Michel, which you saw it in this talk. Michel is quite central to CO-LaN. So once he leaves, wants to go into retirement, we need to have a plan in place in order to continue the good work we are doing at the moment. So this is my presentation over the last the presentation of the board over the last 12 months. I think, let me just finalize here, I think it's important that you as a member participate, and the more participation we have, actually the quicker and better we can move forward all our projects which we have got in CO-LaN. And that's why I was actually very happy also to see yesterday that there were already 4 volunteers to test the test suite. I think only by active collaboration or by active work of our members we can get these things even better than they are already now. Having said that, are there any questions?